What is up, boys and girls, and welcome to the patch 14.3 support tier list. My name is Ioki, and if it is your first time on the channel, I am a multi-season high elo support content creator that has a ton of experience playing in all elos, from Iron to Challenger, from solo queue to Clash and tournament play. So I tend to think of myself as having a pretty good grasp on what is good in support. So that's the purpose of this video. I want to be showing you guys what is good, what is bad, and giving you a little bit of game knowledge to help round out your idea of the meta in Season 14. Because a lot has changed on this patch, and a ton has changed since the last time I did a tier list, which is at the very beginning of the season. So I'm not going to waste too much of your time with these lower tier picks. This is the D tier. I don't really recommend locking in these champions unless you're just trying to have fun. Obviously, League of Legends is a video game first and foremost. So if you like playing Seraphine support, be my guest. If you like playing Trundle support, go for it, right? But these are considered bottom picks. These are definitely going to hurt your climb. So I'm guessing you want to climb because you clicked this video. I wouldn't really recommend any of these champions. These champions are just kind of they kind of just play roles that other champions do what they're trying to do, but much better and much more easily. They're also typically higher economy champions, which means that they need like 2 or 3 items to really be able to do what they want to do. Like for instance, Shaco can't usually one-shot as a support. Yes, you can be annoying and control areas with boxes, but Shaco is an assassin first and foremost, and you're not going to be able to assassinate many people when you're playing at an item and XP deficit. So it's just the reality of the role. Same with Vex. She's an assassin. Assassins typically don't do well in the support area. So that's why these champions are placed where they are. They're just kind of struggling in the current season. Maybe they'll get some buffs that place them higher later in the season. Who knows? I like playing a lot of these champions, but they're just not really great right now. So moving slowly up the list, we got the C tier. These champions are average and should really only be played if you are skilled with them or used as counter picks. Heavy emphasis on the skilled with them, because I think that this area of the tier list right here is kind of where a lot of the bait picks are. Things like Hwei support, like yes, you can play Hwei support. Yes, it is playable, but it's currently sitting at a 46% win rate. You're definitely still hurting your climb if you lock him in. But if you're the best Hwei player on the server and you got autofilled support, absolutely it can work. If you really love playing Ashe support and genuinely learn all of the matchups, when to go Halo Blades versus Comet, really practice, you know, the mechanical part of the champion, then yeah, you can work as a support. Other than that, it's just kind of champions who haven't really quite found their build that has unlocked their potential in Season 14. Like for instance, Soraka, there's just too much burst in Season 14. Like she's a champion that is meant to win long fights by healing up her allies. Well, right now, yeah, you can press your W on your ally, but he's still going to get one shot. There's so much burst in items and in the meta champions that I don't really think you should be playing Soraka. Pantheon is very much a cheese-oriented champion, and there's just not really a build out there that can work on a support budget that you can actually cheese correctly. You go in, you get them, you use your full combo, and you get them down to like 30% HP, and then you die because you have nothing left in the tank. So same with Fiddlesticks, very cheese-reliant. Lulu, I would say she's probably one of the worst enchanters in the game right now, and enchanters are also not super strong in general. The general gist of the meta that we're in, guys, is hard engage. There is lots of fast, frenetic fighting early game. So the champions that are really, really winning in Season 14 are champions that can start fighting at levels 1 through 3, win lane, roam around the map, roam up to grubs, and a general idea of what's strong is hard engage champions because they can CC, and then also damage is wildly overtuned. So you have champions that are tanky and can CC that also deal damage. You'll see what I'm talking about further up the list, but that's the general gist of the meta, and these champions just don't really fall within that. All right, moving up, B tier. These champions are slightly above average. Slightly above average, right? So these are the champions that if you enjoy playing them, absolutely you can succeed. And these are on the cusp of me recommending them. Like if you are a God mode Thresh player, yes, he's slightly above average right now. Amumu, slightly above average. Because again, they bring what I was talking about earlier. They deal a ton of damage. They provide a lot of lockdown. They can fight early game, right? They can fight starting level 1. I'm sure you've seen it in your games by now. The pace of this season is just so breakneck that you don't want to be locking in champions with super long cooldowns. You don't want to be locking in champions that can't really contribute from the bot lane. until level 8 or something. So that's kind of where this tier is. Miss Fortune, I think this champion, her placement in B tier, like she would be D tier if Miss Fortune wasn't unbelievably broken in general, right? Lethality right now is absolutely off the freaking charts. So, you know, she's better in the ADC position, but she's 100% playable in the support position just because she's carried by how broken the champion is right now. Karma actually got nerfed on this patch. She got some massive buffs last patch, and then what a surprise. Everyone was like, wow, this is broken. So they reined her in a little bit, basically undid the buffs from last patch. She's back to being slightly above average, whereas she would have been god tier last patch. Morgana, I will admit that I was pretty incorrect about Morgana. My last tier list, I had her placed possibly in D tier, I think. I had her really, really low, and I'm starting to come around on Morgana, but I think it's more just a symptom of people. She hard counters hard engaged champions, which is what everyone's playing right now. So I think her going up the tier list it's partly me underestimating how strong the champion is, and then also like the meta has shifted a little bit. So she has a little bit more leverage against champions like Leona. Nautilus, of the hard engaged champions, I think Nautilus is probably the worst. He is once again carried by the fact that the meta is what it is. You're always going to enjoy having a Nautilus on your team. You know, it's not going to be a champion that people are like, oh god, another Nautilus player. Like, he's going to be useful. He's got that point and click CC. He's got tons of different kinds of CCs. Like, he's got a pullback with his hook. He's got a root. He's got a stun. He's got a knock up. So it's very hard to itemize against this guy. And especially with them removing the armor MR runes and putting in tenacity, I think he's in a little bit better of a position than some of the other CC based champs, because they're basically just handing out tenacity like candy to every champion in the game now. So having a CC based champion that can do CC that's not affected by tenacity is pretty nice. But again, he can't compete with the top dogs that you'll see later. Xerath, again, mage supports are they're just like pretty okay. Zyra and Brand are a little bit higher on the list. Of the 3 mage supports in that category, I would say Xerath's the weakest. Alistar, again, just kind of struggling. Alistar's always been a weird champion anyways, because like, what is he? He has burst, he has knockups, but he also like runs electrocute and phase rush. So aftershock. I think Alistar is where he's at. It's a good slot for Alistar. He's not the best, but he's definitely those freaky Alistar players. Like, they always find a way to make him work. Neeko, very relative to Xerath and power. So yeah, that's the B tier. Zilean, kind of just a weird champion. I think the Zilean actually is strong now that he's found his build, but again, so much early fighting. I think that's the thing that holds him back. Is Zilean is a very, very strong mid to late game support and not super great in the early game. So yeah, those are the B tier. Champions are slightly above average. Now we're getting to the champions that are actually very, very good. Nami has found her build. She does great with Swifties and Imperial Mandate. Sona, again, she can't fight early, but these games are all very sloppy. People are still misunderstanding how much damage they deal, which fights they can take, etc., etc. So I do feel like Sona kind of like slips through the cracks sometimes and gets to permascale. Just because the games are sloppy and no one knows how to end them. Zyra, already kind of discussed how I feel about mages. Her and Brand are very good. Never going to be top tier, just because they are also countered by the strong champions like Leona. They can just engage on them. Rakan is in kind of like a jack of all trades. He can go tanky. He can deal damage. He can peel. He can dive. He can heal. He can shield. But he's never really going to be the best at any of those. So regardless of meta, Rakan is kind of like Thresh, where it's like, yeah, you can slot him into any team comp. If you already have a solid team comp, that's a good time to slot Rakan in, and it makes a solid team comp slightly better. You know what I mean? If you need a primary engage, you should probably go with one of the better picks. Rel, pretty good. Pretty good. Like, yeah, ever since her rework, I feel like Rel is a much better support than she used to be. Brandini, already kind of discussed him. He is another champion, kind of like Miss Fortune, who is elevated because of how broken he is. And as a little bonus, everybody's playing him in the jungle right now. So if you pick Brand very early into your draft, people might think that he's in the jungle. So you might be able to get away with not getting counterpicked in bot lane. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about him. He's a god tier jungler and a pretty good support right now. Milio, Again, kind of like Sona, I feel like he's slipping through the cracks. He's a little bit better equipped to fight early than Sona is. He does have that Q for a disengage. He's got some pretty nice shield steroids and speed up steroids. Yeah, him and Renata. The only thing I don't really recommend about them is that, like, if you are consistently trying to impact your game, I feel like these two champions have a relatively low impact compared to hard engaged champions. Like, you guys know me, like I like being the one that starts the fight, and you can rarely kind of do that with these two champions. So in solo queue, if you're going to play 1,000 games, I would recommend you play other champions, but these champions are strong. Poppy, again, another dark horse. I think I had her in D tier, but now that people have figured out her build, you go in Aftershock and then into a lethality build. Bloodsong is making a lot of melee champions super broken and making them, the damage amp is like 8% or something insane. So basically, just by locking in a melee champion and going Bloodsong, your whole team is going to be dealing 8% more damage. Like, it's just really, it's insane. And if you've seen my PTA Leona video, you go PTA plus Bloodsong, bro, there's no way that's broken or that's balanced. So yeah, Pyke got some very juicy buffs on this patch, which is surprising because I didn't really think Pyke was very weak to begin with. He's got everything that you kind of need in a season 14 support. You've got the early roam ability. You've got the lane advantage. You've got the you can fight at level 1. He does fall off really fast. So he's one of those champions that you have to keep your foot on the pedal and never make a mistake. Kind of like play the game perfectly. Like, don't do any of those like Baron throws or you will lose as this champion for sure. But he's very strong and he just got buffs. So great time to be a Pyke lover. And here it is, guys, the cream of the crop, the absolute S tier champions. This is what you should be playing. If you are purely focused on winning games, these are your champions. Teemo, I'm not joking. I'm not trolling. This champion still has an insanely high win rate. And I'm going to pull it up just to prove it to you guys. Okay, the site that I use stats for is actually not working. So I'm not going to pull it up, but he still has a very high win rate. He just got a quality of life buff that makes his blind actually last a little bit longer or proc faster rather. So in those intense bot lane fights where you're blinding Jhin right before his force shot, now the blind will actually properly blind him fast enough. Champion is insane. Okay, you just go Malignance, you go Zax's Realm Spike, and you're full build. Like this, the champion is not okay, man. Taric, again, very well equipped for these early fights. He can bash people's skulls in. It's very fun. And he's kind of got some of the enchanter properties with the damage, with the CC. That's what you want. That's what you want, right? Blitzcrank, if they lock in any squishy immobile champions, Blitzcrank is always going to be strong because you can miss 90% of your hooks. But if you land that one hook late game, you've changed the whole course of the game. Senna, lethality items are busted. There are some people saying that Senna is bad right now. I don't know what they're smoking. Senna is so unbelievably busted. You've got great build diversity. You can go into Youmuu's. You can go for Umbro Glaive. You can go for Hubris if you're going to be the carry. Senna's cracked. Don't get hit by anything because there's a lot of bursts in this game. But yeah, Senna's very unbalanced right now. Of the enchanters, Janna is far and ahead, by far the best. In general, I don't think enchanters are like crazy broken. Janna's the exception. She is busted. Bard, I played Bard for the first time yesterday on the new patch, or in the new season. Unbelievably busted. And he did just get nerfed this patch, but I was looking through the nerfs. They're not that bad. Yeah, you just build Frozen Heart, you go Bloodsong, and you literally just run around the map, get in their faces, they'll use everything on you, and you'll still have half your health bar. The tank items are crazy busted. And yeah, I've already kind of hyped up these two champions. Maokai had a 56% win rate in support last patch. He did get a bunch of nerfs to bring him down, but he's going to go from by far the best champion in the role to just barely the best champion in the role. He's still going to be like a 54% win rate champion. Like, the nerfs that they did to him are not nearly enough. And Leona is just absolute queen of this season. Try out the Bloodsong PTA tech. Go watch my video on it. And yeah, guys, wanted to make this short tier list video to give you guys an update on what I genuinely believe to be the best and worst supports on the patch. I hope you guys are enjoying these videos, and let me know down in the comments if you have any questions. I'm going to be very active in this comment section, answering any and all questions that you guys have. And yeah, much love. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Take it easy. Peace.